Background edukasinya itu hanyalah SD, sekolah dasar. Background edukasinya 152, mohon maaf tadi bukan 152 juta. Background edukasinya itu kebanyakan adalah sekolah dasar. Kemudian dilanjutkan dengan SMP kurang lebih 17%, SMA kalau kita jumlahkan hanya 14%. Sehingga pendidikan salah satunya pendidikan vokasi, vocational training dan edukasi menjadi hal yang sangat penting. Nah, dengan background seperti kita juga takes time kalau kita mencoba untuk memasukkan semua human capital kita, sumber daya manusia kita ini ke universitas atau diploma. Nah, oleh sebab itu program vocational training menjadi hal yang sangat penting yang menjadi skala prioritas dalam kita meng-upscaling, rescaling dari kemampuan sumber daya manusia kita. Ya, memang kalau kita bicara mengenai investasi, memang targetnya menjadi sangat tinggi untuk kita mencapai 8%. Mungkin slide yang sebelumnya bisa disampaikan. Karena kalau kita lihat, nah ini adalah target investasi yang Bapak-Bapak, Ibu-Ibu yang terhormat. Kalau dalam 10 tahun terakhir dari 2014 sampai 2024, investasi yang dibutuhkan adalah investasi yang masuk adalah kurang lebih 9.100 triliun. 5 tahun ke depan dari 2025 sampai 2029 mencapai lebih dari 13 triliun. Itu investasi yang diharapkan masuk dalam rangka kita bisa mencapai pertumbuhan 8% di tahun 2029. Alhamdulillah memang pada tahun 2024 kita tercapai, 2025 dalam first semester alhamdulillah kita sesuai dengan target kita. Saya sedang menunggu angka untuk kuartal ketiga ini. Karena dengan ini kembali lagi penciptaan lapangan pekerjaan, investasi yang masuk insya Allah bisa kita capai dan ini punya dampak yang positif. Dan di saat bersamaan banyak sekali sebetulnya opportunity yang ada di kita yang selama ini mungkin hanya menjadi kesempatan, hanya menjadi opportunity tanpa ada implementasi yang kuat atau yang berjalan dengan baik dan benar. Contohnya adalah kita sering berbicara mengenai energi baru terbarukan, renewable energy. Iya betul, ininya kita opportunity kita sangat-sangat tinggi. Karena kenapa ini kita mesti lakukan juga di saat bersamaan di Indonesia ini kita udah committed nih ke dunia.
Well, I think that to some extent, if Indonesia put together a good policy package to attract direct investment from China, then it will accelerate the development in Indonesia. Because in the past, China directly exported many goods to the U.S. China was the number one exporting country to the U.S. But U.S., put on the tariff rate on China's direct export to the U.S. But the U.S. cannot produce those kind of goods because most of them are considered more labor intensive and so on. The value added was lower than those kind of high-tech industries, which the U.S. has competitive advantages. And when they would not buy from China, they will have to buy from other countries. And so, Indonesia, Vietnam, Mexico, Malaysia can fill the gap. And by producing in Indonesia with input from China plus local contents, then you can export to the U.S. And that will accelerate the process of industrialization, job creation, export expansion for Indonesia. And for that, certainly you need to make your domestic investment environment attractive. Certainly, you need to have good infrastructure, and you also need to simplify your investment procedure and so on to make the business environment easy to operate. And if you can do that, I think it will be an opportunity to accelerate the job creation, the growth, the export for Indonesia.
Thank you. As maybe a little bit of a shift from the questions from the floor as we prepare the next one, there was a discussion that we had regarding the role of state-owned enterprises in the economic development of China over the last 30, 40 years. How can we in Indonesia today, as we are also embarking on a major restructuring of our state-owned enterprises, learn from how China has leveraged state-owned enterprises for economic growth, being one of the tools that has been supporting this growth this time?
Many people think state-owned sectors are emphasizing education. And so, every government, every generation in China, they value education. So for the family as well for the government, they do invest in education to cultivate the human talents. And I think it is something, some experiences we can share. If a nation value education, give support to education, the country will have a much better future.
Thank you. My next question, with regards to China's growth story, right? Indonesia today is currently at about 5% growth rate, and China and Indonesia continues to be ambitious in its growth targets. Our current president, Prabowo Subianto, has set an 8% GDP growth target. Maybe he's read a lot of your work as well in order to be inspired by this. But this question from Joyce W. is, how many years will Indonesia require in order to achieve these kinds of growth rates such that China has achieved in the past? And how can Indonesia attract investors in order to overcome the challenges in its economy that we have today?
Well, I certainly believe Indonesia has a growth potential 8% or more for 30, 40 years. Because for China, the growth rate from 1978 to last year, 2024, was 8.9%, continuously for 46 years. And so I have no doubt the potential is there. But to turn the potential into reality, certainly you need to prepare. For example, you need to prepare infrastructure. In China, we have a saying, if you want to get rich, to make investment in infrastructure first.